renarspodcast.
I started martial art when I was 8. In France, when you're a kid, especially at that time, either you do judo or you play football.
All right.
I tried football, I was terrible, so they put me in judo. I was still terrible because I didn't know how to fight back. My mom spoke to me later afterwards. She was saying, the teacher, I thought you were useless. Because you were getting beat up by your father, you didn't know how to fight back. So when you would do rendery, you would do sparring people, you just let people throwing you down because you didn't want to fight back.
Oh, wow.
And then when I did karate, when I was 10, that's different because you're doing kata, you're not doing so much sparring.
Yeah.
Especially at that time, I was doing shotokan, which is very much about forms and kicks and stuff like that. So it was kind of a little bit better. But then when I came out of my shell, when I was 14, then I decided, okay, now I need to take my life into my own hands. That's when I started Thai boxing. And because I was living in a rough area, Thai boxing was very popular in very tough area in France. And I really put my heart and soul into that. And I was just training. And that's where my real martial art journey started.
Yeah, I was pointing earlier. That's what I started with was Shotokan. That was my first martial art as well. I think it's quite nice base for. But yeah, then Muay Thai. You said yeah. That's such a totally different ball game.
Completely,
Like the
especially back
shins and
then.
everything.
It was very traditional. In fact, that's what got me into a clash with my teacher because my teacher came from Thailand. He was a French guy, but he really studied in Thailand. And people might not know, but in the 80s, early 90s, Thai boxing, kickboxing was very big in France and Holland. They are some of the biggest shows in Europe.
Yeah,
if
in
not the
Holland.
world.
Yeah. Because there's so many fighters now. When I live in Bali, there's so many fighters. The kickboxers, like Muay Thai guys, they come from Holland.
Yeah. So it was huge back then, and some of the biggest events were in France because of Canal Plus. Canal Plus was the first one that put Thai boxing on the map, a bit like MMA right now. So and a lot of French guys started training in Thailand. In fact, you had multiple Lumpini champions that were French. You know? So Thai boxing was very big. I remember when I trained there, it was only guy from Laos, guy from the French Foreign Legion, and like rough kid from the neighborhood. So it was like tough. And I remember this dojo was like ice cold in the winter. You had to jump the ropes to those big ropes, and you catch your toes.
Catch your toes, yeah, that's the best.
You know, and you would like put all this Thai oil, and you would do hard sparring. I remember getting knocked out by this guy from French Foreign Legion, which was like in his 30s, you know, massive guy, like 6'1",
Jeez.
205 pounds. I was like 14. So, but then because I started watching a lot of movies, I already wanted to train in different martial arts. I was really inspired by Bruce Lee as well. So I wanted to master different style. I wanted to test my skill into the ring as well. That's the reason why I started competition. I never wanted to become a champion, never did. I wanted just to test my skill initially, to test my skill as a martial artist. And because I used to watch a lot of movies, I used to sometimes copy what I would see in movies. So I would do like taekwondo kick, like spinning hook kick, 360 and stuff like that. And my teacher was like, what is this shit? He said, if you want to do this, go and do kickboxing. Because kickboxing was the enemy of Thai boxing. You know, kickboxing was this fancy shit. So eventually I found this kickboxing instructor called Simon Kankou, who came from Zaire. He looked like Billy Blanks. Big African dude, muscle everywhere, like amazing genetic, came from Kyokonshika karate and started doing Japanese kickboxing, which is like kickboxing but without the knees, a bit like K1.
Okay.
And that was more my style.
And no elbows as well.
And no elbows.
Yeah.
And the guy would come into the class, speak in English, 1, 2, 1, 2. He would put some music, you know, he would do any. I was like, shit, this is Hollywood. This is great.
Yeah.
So that's more my style. When you see me fighting, I don't have this really typical Thai style or anything like that. I'm more like what you call Japanese kickboxing. Because kickboxing initially came from Japan. Then American did their own style of it. It used to be called full contact or full contact karate. What B. Wallace did back in the days and Joe Lewis. But Japan had their own style of kickboxing, which is, as I said, much more closer than what K1
So
is.
Japan is creating so many martial arts. Like, how many other martial arts are coming from Japan originally?
You know,
so there's karate as
judo.
well, and judo,
Jiu-jitsu.
and jiu-jitsu, which is considered to be Japanese jiu-jitsu, and then it became Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu changed that. Well, not became, but it's a different style.
And all the variation of karate. When people say karate, there's so different,
Yeah,
many
yeah, yeah.
different style. I fought all over the world in different style. I fought in Thai boxing, kickboxing, full contact karate. I fought in shoot boxing in Japan. I fought in different type of MMA with glove, without gloves,
Jeez.
10-minute rounds, 5-minute rounds. I fought in sambo. I competed in wrestling in Iran. So I competed in different. I fought for 24 years, and I think professionally about, I don't know, 18 to 20 years, depending on what style of fighting and whatever. Sometimes you didn't even know if you were fighting pro or not. I remember back in the days in MMA or pro fight, we used to get paid 50 quid. You know, so it's not pro.
Jeez.
I don't know. Sometimes you only had money if you win a tournament. So
Right.
Is that pro? I don't know.
When you saw those movies, the action movies, the fight movies, then you just kind of start generating this idea that that's who you want to be or that's what you want to do, or you were just fascinated and you maybe want to copy it. It just looks cool, or
Yeah, it was an inspiration in my martial art journey. And like I said, I wanted to test my skill and wanted to be the best martial artist I could be. And then I discovered Van Damme. And and then for me, it was a revelation. Sure, of course, you had the Stallone, you had the Arnold Schwarzenegger. In the 90s, my favorite action hero was Wesley Snipes. I think it was so cool and a very versatile type of, martial art he would use.
Yeah.
But Van Damme was like a guy like me. He was Belgium. He would speak French like me. He's like 5'9". He looks like a regular guy. And it's like, if this guy can make it, so can I.
yeah,
This is why it's important. Today, we are talking about people being able to see themselves on screen and how important it is. And I think sometimes people can't articulate it well. People said, well, I was inspired by so many people and some of them weren't white. Yeah, sure, me too. I like Jackie Chan. I like Bruce Lee. But they didn't hit me the same way than
Yeah.
Van Damme. Arnold Schwarzenegger looked like a freak. He was a freak. Bruce Lee was a freak.
Yeah.
I couldn't relate to those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Van Damme looked like a regular guy. He was a geek who was bully, who speak French, who lift some weight, went to Hollywood, was an extra. I can relate to that. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
understand. So I can understand that now some people want to be able to see people they can relate to. Sure, they can appreciate different actors and actresses from different backgrounds, but it's nice for people, and they might not want to get into acting, but at least they might be inspired by people that kind of look like them on screen also. So I think this is important, but the problem is Hollywood don't really know how to explain it well.
right.
But yeah, so Van Damme was like, okay, cool, that's maybe I can do movie too.
How old is he now? It's like
Van Damme,
65.
60, yeah, in his 60s.
Yeah, it's like 15 years difference. So when you saw him, then it's like not that far. Like he wasn't that much older than you, and
Yeah. And Bloodsport, Bloodsport was like, at the time was
that's the
like,
one.
shit, what's that all about? We haven't seen a movie like that in years. So yeah, that kind of, and then now I wanted to become an actor, but how do you become an actor? That's not my world. I don't know. I don't live in Hollywood. How does that work? But then I realized, and also I was very creative. I used to do a lot of drawing and stuff like that. I think that's something you can relate to. I find you being very creative. And in fact, a lot of stunt guys are very creative. But sometimes it's great and when you can find a way to be creative. But sometimes you got this inside you, but you don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I can use martial art to be creative. And I can use the ring as, and my skill as a paintbrush.
My canvas.
Yeah.
Look at all that blood splattered on the floor.
Pretty much. I would do like spinning hook kick and I hear the audience like, yeah. I was like, I like that.
And it dragged the guy around.
Yeah. So, and that's what made me a very popular fighter because for me, getting the audience excited was more important than winning the fight. I wanted people to react to what I was
So
doing.
why didn't you do WWE wrestling then?
That's not something I was into at the time.
That's a
not
different,
something-
totally
yeah.
different ball game. Yeah.
So for me, it was a way to express myself, and as I said, instead of doing it on a set, I would do it in a cage or in a ring or anything like that, and people would like it because I would play a character, behind the camera and on a microphone, and I would be entertaining in the ring and stuff like that.
Renarspodcast.